Okay, so today the first thing, yesterday we discussed about the data and we have seen like what is the database, but today we are specifically looking into little bit deep into the data and information and kind of stuff. So what exactly a data? Yesterday what we discussed about data. Okay, so it's whenever I'm saying data, for example, to a bank. So what is a data? A data is a customer account information, or a data is a person did so and so transaction, or a person withdraw some kind of amount. These all are data for a financial institution. But what exactly the business is required, or what exactly the business is looking into this data? Business is looking a kind of a processed data. What do you mean by processed data? So, for example, you are going to the bank, okay? You are going to the bank and you deposit $500, okay? So, what is the transaction here? Your transaction is a deposit into the your account. That is a transaction. So, that transaction, that specific transaction, when you are looking from your end, it's going to be a transaction. But when you are looking from a business perspective, even it's a transaction, but like how they are going to look into that? So and so the customer with the customer ID 101, the amount deposited is $500. So the type of a transaction is a kind of a deposit, and the volume of that I can say, instead of volume I can say the amount what he deposited is $500. This is the way the business is going to look, but from your perspective you just went to the bank and you dropped a envelope with the $500. But in the business perspective, you credited some amount into their account. That is going to be a processed information. For example, maybe this is not a best example, but like what I can say is like the best example can be you went to a Walmart store and you gave like $1,000 to purchase a TV. The TV worth is like $700. So they return back you $300. So out of this transaction, how much they are going to fetch? So $700 for the TV. Out of $700, 500 maybe like $20 for the tax, or all these things transactions will be calculated, okay, will be calculated and processed as part of the information, okay, not as part of the data. But like when you look into like very high level, it looks like a data, but when you go into a little bit deeper, when you try to dig into that, then it's going to call as a information. So now see a theoretical definition. What is a data? A data can be defined in many ways. Information science defines data as a unprocessed information. Okay, unprocessed information. When in your perspective, whatever you look from the outside is unprocessed. Whatever the business is going to look into that is a processed. So what is the information in book level? Information is a data that have been organized and communicated in a coherent and meaningful manner. What is a meaningful manner here? You are mentioning to the business, okay, so and so item is sold out on so and so date. This is what a, a detailed itemized, I can say detailed or itemized receipt to the business. Okay, forget about the customer here. Receipt to the business. How much exactly I earned by selling this item. That is kind of a detailed, coherent, and meaningful manner. You're projecting that information or projecting that data. That kind of projection, that kind of information or that kind of a data is called a information. Don't get confused. In the normal world, even if you say data or information, people will think both are same, but logically it's not same. Okay, in very high level, data is a unprocessed information. A information is a processed, a meaningful data to the business, okay, or to the client. Data is converted into information, and information is converted into knowledge. Okay, first of all, why you need this data? Because you are going to analyze something. So maybe today you are saying, okay, the customer bought this one on Thanksgiving Day, the $700 worth of TV for 500. But but when you produce this report or when you produce this information to the business, what they are going to do? Because why they are taking this information? To analyze something, or to do some kind of a research, or to do some kind of a profit and loss analysis. So all this information is used to the for the knowledge sake. Okay, then knowledge information evaluated and organized, okay, so that it can be used purposefully. So how you are converting this knowledge into business. Okay, whatever the knowledge, whatever the information you got from these transactions, you are considering that as a knowledge. But how you are considering the knowledge, why you are considering it as a knowledge? Because it can be used purposefully. What is the purpose here for the business? To make profits. Ultimately, if you have a knowledge on something, you are going to fetch some profits, right? If you are going to have a knowledge on ETL testing, what you are going to get some kind of a job or some kind of a kind of a research oriented thing or whatever it is, like you are going to gain a knowledge on some other tool. So there is some kind of a purpose for everything. So ultimately, you are building your knowledge, you are increasing your knowledge to fulfill that purpose. Any questions on this slide? Overall, what you need to understand from this slide is what is the data, what is the information. A data is an unprocessed data, sorry, information, and a information is a processed, a resource oriented or a resourceful, a purposeful
Krishna,
data for the business success. Any questions?
are you showing something?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
No. Harika, how about you?
No.
Okay. Swapna, how
I
about you?
can see.
Okay. So let me stop sharing and I'll restart my sharing. Can you see it now?
No.
I can see.
You can see?
Hmm?
Okay, what you can see on my screen?
Data versus information.
Was this information perfect? Okay. And yeah. Now we are going to discuss about the types of databases. So till yesterday we have discussed what is a database and what kind of database, what kind of data and how this data is storing and everything. Now we are going to see how you are going to classify them. So there are two different kind of things. So don't look into the slides or anything. So try to understand. So what exactly these concepts. Okay. So even I'm not concentrating on the slides and whatever they mentioned, but maybe you can use these slides for the informational purpose, but like just try to concentrate what I'm saying. There are two different kind of a databases. Nowadays, a Hadoop came into the picture, but like Hadoop is, I'm not talking about the Hadoop over here. So right now, just I'm focusing on a relational and a non-relational because even the Hadoop comes under the non-relational database, but I don't want to discuss that. But like we are discussing on it, the things which are happening before the Hadoop. Okay. Now, what is a non-relational database and what is a relational database? Yesterday I discussed. So if you're having a family, okay, if you're having a home, like who are staying in a home, each person will have a relation. Each person will have some kind of association with some other person. The same way, if you're having a tables, okay, if you're having tables in a database, so what are these tables? The place where you can store the data. Why you are storing the data in tables? Because then you are storing in a row and a column matrix. But where this all these tables are residing, they are all are residing in a database. So ultimately, when you are putting something in a databases, okay, in a database, then obviously there need to be some kind of a relational. So that is kind of a relational database. So nowadays, what are the databases you can see? Most of the databases are RDBMS or relational databases. But coming to the non-relational databases, yes. So they do have non-relational databases. What exactly the non-relational databases? Here, you are going to have multiple tables, but there won't be any relationship among those tables. Okay, so there will be n number of tables or a number of files or anything you are going to store in a specific format where you are not going to have any relationships. Hadoop is one of the best example for the non-relation databases, but I don't want to go in depth of that non-relation databases because it's going to be like ocean again. So we try to concentrate on a relational databases. So what is a relational databases? All the tables, whatever you're having in the database, you are creating some kind of a relationship for each table. So what is the meaning of a relationship? For example, you are having two tables. One is employee table, another one is a department table. Let me explain this. This is an employee table, employee number, e-name, salary, okay, and location. This is the employee table. Please let me know if you have any questions. Okay, just consider this as a elementary class. Okay, so by putting that in your mind, just think here. Okay, don't feel like people will laugh or like people will shy or whatever it is. Okay, even people laugh, don't mind. Okay, ask the question, even though it's a silly question or whatever it is. Now I have created a employee table and I'm creating a department table. Department number, employee number, and department name, and maybe like a branch. Now, so what is the meaning of this table? First of all, the first table is trying to store the employee information. So what could be the employee information? What kind of data will come under employee information or like employee table? Employee number 101. Okay, so here I can mention like a Swapna, and the salary is 10,000 and location is Chicago. And now the second employee is 102 and I can mention like a Harika, and the salary is like 10,000 and the location is Dallas. Okay, now the
Hey,
question comes. Pardon?
we can't hear you.
Is this okay now?
Yes.
I don't know. So many things are happening today. Okay, so I was talking about like employee and department tables, how these tables are getting created. Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now think about when you're having employee table, why department table is required? Because all these employees might be working under some department, right? The department can be anything. Maybe Swapna is working on IT department. Okay, the department number would be like A1. Okay, as I'm saying like a department number, just consider it as a 01, department 1. And employee number, where Swapna is working under department 1. So what is this department name? IT department. Okay, as this is IT department, Swapna is working where? In department IT. Okay, information technology department. So what could be the employee number of Swapna? 101. Now, what kind of branch she is working? Maybe she is working in IT, like just I'm giving like a design team or like design branch. Instead of branch, I can say team. Okay, in a design team, she's working. Now, I want to store a other record. I want to store a record like department number 2, and Harika is working in HR department, for example. And team is marketing, HR marketing. Now, so Harika is working in this department. How can I put this information? Like Harika employee ID. Now try to concentrate. What is the employee number here? For this table, for this specific table, what is a unique one?
Employee number.
Harika?
Employee number.
Employee number is a unique one. Why I am calling employee number as unique one? Because any two employees cannot have same employee ID or employee number. So coming to maybe you can consider like SSN number is a unique one. That is a primary key, or like there is a unique number for each and every citizen or like each and every resident who is living in this country, right? The same way For this table, employee number is a unique. First, think about the unique. The first property is unique. Fine. Now, Swapna, like what is the unique number? What is the unique primary key column in department table?
Employee number.
You mean employee number?
Mhm.
Okay.
And also it might be department number.
What's the right one? Which one you can consider as a, why you are considering employee number as a unique value here? See, for example, think, okay, I just want to mention why employee number is not a primary key here, okay, or like a unique key here. See, sometime, after some time, the same person, the same employee, 101 Swapna, okay, can move into HR department. HR department, sorry. Maybe into different team, like in a HR also there is a IT team or recruitment team. There is a possibility, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for the same employee, she can go into the record, or like she can go into the department, okay, where the other employee is also working. Now, how can you say a employee number is a primary key? Does it make sense?
Yeah, but
Okay.
even department number is also the
No,
same
I'm not
kind of
talking.
thing.
No, I never said department number is a primary key here.
Okay.
Okay, I never told that.
Mhm.
Okay, now I'm just trying to focus the employee number, whatever is there in the employee table is a primary key, but whereas when it's coming to other table, it's not a primary key. My only one intention to explain you a primary key or like a unique key in one table will not be a unique key in some other table. Okay,
Okay.
this is the reason it could not be a primary key or like a unique value in the department table. Now forget about this. Now, okay, let's put like this so that there won't be any confusion for you guys. Now, what is the primary key in department table now? For every table, okay, there will be a unique key. Okay, we don't get confused. Unique and primary both are same. Okay, but there is a difference. Even there is a difference, is a little bit difference in the unique and primary key. I'll tell that later. But as of now, understand primary key and unique key both are same. Okay, now what is the primary key over here in the department table now? 1 and 2. This table is specifically talking about the department number. This table is specifically talking about the department number. That's the reason I am considering department number as a primary key over here. Now you can ask me a question. What happens? What happens if the same person, the 102 or like 101, okay, is moved to some different department? Okay, for example, in the same example, like whatever I explained, like the same thing, if it is happening like this, okay, R2 HR marketing and the employee number is 101. Is this possible? First of all, in this scenario, it's not going to be possible. But why I said earlier it is possible, but now it's not going to be possible. There is a reason. When you're calling this as a department table, you should use this department table only to maintain the departmental information. In case of any changes on employee number, you should maintain a separate table or a separate kind of information where which can be maintained department number as well as employee number as a primary key. Does it make sense now?
Mm-hmm.
Is it make sense now? In that scenario, again, your employee number could be changed. Okay, that's going, I'm going a little bit deeper. So let's don't discuss about that one. But like right now, try to think what is a primary key and what is a foreign key. That is what my intention to explain here. Here, you're having a department table which is having only department information and employee table which is having only employment information. Is it clear to both of you?
Yes.
Okay. Now try to focus. What is a relationship then? Okay. What kind of relationship you are going to maintain? So maybe the best example would be instead of creating this table like this, what I can do is now to create a maintain relationship, I can put this department number over here. Okay. Does it make sense now? So the same department number, over here, it is a primary key. Okay. And coming over here, it's going to be a foreign key. And the same employee number over here, it's a primary key. If in case, if you maintain the same employee number in this table, then I'm going to call it as a foreign key. This is called a referential integrity. Does this make sense? Now, if I want to capture the information from these two tables, how am I going to capture? Select, okay, the fields from this table and fields from this table. What are the fields? So how I am going to maintain the relationship? The employee number from the employee table is equal to employee number from the department table, or okay, or department number from the department table equals to department number from the employee table. Does it make sense? Any questions over here?
No.
Even this is a basic concept, so no need to think much over here. Try to understand what is a primary key, what is a foreign key. A primary key is a key which is unique and not null. Okay, this is the second concept, not null. What is the not null? For example, if you are considering there is a primary key at any point of time, you should not get a null here. What is a null? It's a blank. Okay, I can say it's a blank. Nothing is there. Not even a space. Nothing. That is called a null. And even it should not be a blank also. Okay, so if what is a primary key? A primary key is a unique value that should not be a null. Okay, and that should not be a null, and that should be a unique. Then only you are calling it as a primary key. What is a foreign key? A foreign key is a reference. A foreign key is a reference of other table. Okay, a foreign key is a reference of another table stored in a, any idea over here? A foreign key. Okay, so a primary key is a unique and not null, whereas a foreign key is not a unique. Or like I can say, it could be repeat. Even the same table I can write as a 101. Still it's allowed. Still it's allowed. But if you want to write as a 1, it's not going to allow it. Okay. So what is a foreign key then? A foreign key could be a repeated value. Okay. But it's referring to some other table. I don't want to complicate this by giving my own definitions. So if you want, you can get the book definition, but try to understand the concept. A foreign key is referring to some other table where that was a primary key. Okay, Swapna, did I confuse you? Harika,
No.
is this clear? Very, very
Yes.
important concept. The primary key and foreign key.
Yeah.
Okay, now my question, I'm taking this off. Okay, now I'm going to write a few things over here. Even employee name is unique over here. Why I'm not calling this as a primary key? What could be the difference? Swapna, Harika. The only thing I want you to focus here is why. What is the necessity of making only employee number as a primary key? Why not employee name? Why not salary? And why not department name? Why not team? Why not some other employee number here? You need to understand why I am making it as a primary key.
Because we use department in department also we use employee number.
Okay, I am making my question a little bit clear. Forget about the foreign key and primary keys concept. Okay, now tell me why I am making employee number as a primary key. Why not as an employee name? Why not as a salary? Why not as a location? Why only employee number? Swapna, Harika, anyone? You can try. See, like, let's make it as a kind of a discussion, okay? Whatever you are telling is okay. Try to speak, Harika and Swapna. Whether you are telling the wrong or right, that's okay. Okay, just feel like you're talking to your friends. Okay, what is your thought? Why employee name is not a primary key? Try to think.
Employee number, it could not be repeated, but employee name, it may be, right?
Perfect. So, out of this, like all these fields, salary, location, employee name, anything can be repeated. Again, there could be some other Swapna, right? Some other Harika,
Yeah.
or the same person can get the same salary. And there could be there is a chance two employees can stay in the same city. Even there is other person can, the other Swapna can stay in Chicago, other Harika can stay in Dallas. But by any chance, two Swapnas can get same employee number. So what should be your think process? Whenever you are looking into a table, first you need to think in a business value, what could be a primary key on a table. Very, very important when you are looking into a real-time tables. For example, if you are working on an insurance company, what's going to be a primary key? The insurance ID is going to be a primary key. So ultimately, whatever the table you are talking about, normally the IDs will be a primary key. Normally, okay? It's not guaranteed that every ID will be a primary key, but mostly the IDs will be a primary key. That is one of the observation. The second observation or possibility is always the primary keys will be a unique value, a numerical value, a, a numerical value. 99% of the scenarios, a primary key will be a numerical value. Is that clear?
Yes.
It applies to foreign key as well. It applies to foreign key as well. Because when I'm saying a foreign key means what? Somewhere that is treated as a primary key. That's why we are using that as a foreign key in some other table. This kind of a relationship is going to call as a referential integrity. A referential integrity. This is very, very, very important concept. The only reason I just explained in Excel sheet, I don't know whether I confused you or not, like, but the only reason I mentioned in the Excel sheet to give a real-time picture. Okay, I cannot explain this thing by showing a slide because I want to write the real time. See, this is how you need to think whenever you look into a table. First, when you open a table, try to think, what is the primary key here? What is the foreign key here? That is how your perception has to go when you are looking into a table. Okay? Hope like I made my point clear over here.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so I don't want you to concentrate on all these things. Like so, there could be like n number of definitions why you are using the data and how you are generating the data. All these things are a different kind of things. But I'm going to share this slide with you so that just for the informational purpose. But like what you need to understand is basic things: database management systems, relational, non-relational, primary key, foreign key, referential integrity, all these things you need to understand. Now, for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see some kind of interview questions. Okay, let's see like what kind of interview questions you can face on database level. Okay, I request you to go through this interview questions every day. Okay, whenever the topic is complete, go through the interview questions and try to answer in your own way so that you will get some knowledge and you can get prepared to the interviews. I didn't went to SQLite. You are only in the DBMS basics. Okay, there are like hell lot of questions, but try to understand the basic things. What are the questions you can ask or sorry you can get in an interview? But this is not the right practice for the database. Maybe it's a good practice for your SQLs and ETL concepts and testing concepts, but not for the database. But still, it's a good practice to start like this. Okay, what is a database? A database is a logically coherent collection of data with some inherent meaning representing some aspect of a real world and which is designed, built and populated with the data and specific purpose. Forget about all these definitions. What is a database? What you understand the database? I don't want you to focus on this definition to read or anything. In your perspective, what is a database? Give your own words. I don't want you to put like a complex English to that. Okay, let me give it. A database is a place where you can store the data. How you are going to store the data is the second question then. You are going to store the data in the form of a tables in a simplest thing. Okay, what is a DBMS? DBMS, okay, let's read out this first, then we can come to our own language. Okay, it's a collection of programs that enables user to create and maintain the database. In other words, it is a general purpose software that provides the users with the processing of defining, constructing, and manipulating the database for the various applications. In my own language, a DBMS is a database management system which is going to maintain a specific database for the purpose of data processing. So why you are maintaining the database? For the data processing. So that kind of a system is called a DBMS, right? So here the only one thing you have to remember is why we are managing this system to process the data. Okay, that will include of defining, constructing, manipulating everything. Everything I'm calling as to processing of the data. Okay. So what is a database system? So even here is a simple thing. What is a database system? It's kind of a software. So it's going to be a software where you are going to install in your machine. That is like a DBMS database system. So all these things are basic things. Try to understand the concept. So no one is going to ask you in interviews, but like you need to have these things in your mind when you're working on a database technologies or database testing. Okay, what are the advantages of DBMS? So these are like the things we need to discuss. Maybe like going forward, we are going to discuss what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages. Okay, so any questions as of now?
No.
So will you able to read all these questions or like how you want to do this? So give me some suggestions like what is the best way for you to get aligned with this training? The only reason I'm asking this thing, I want you to work. How you are going to work, Harika? Specifically for you, Harika.
I will read all these questions.
Yeah. So try to read the question and think for the answer. Don't read the answer. Try to understand in your own world. Okay. Because like someone written this thing in his own way. You try to write the concept in your own way. If you don't find any clue, then ask me.
Okay.
Okay, then write your own way. Even Swapna, so maybe like you are familiarized with all these things, but still, maybe like I don't think these are the things you need to learn, because like you are already working on a ETL side, but still, if you don't know these concepts, I prefer you also write in your own language. Okay.
Okay, sure.
And Harika, so maybe like for the couple of days you may feel a little bit hard, but after like 1 week or 2 weeks, trust me, you are going to generate the interest definitely. Okay,
Okay.
that is the like interesting thing on the database side. So once you know where to start and how to start, that's it. Your engine is started. Okay, so tomorrow what we are going to do is, I prefer like you both of you downloaded those files, right?
Yes.
Okay, the first thing what I'm going to do is like after like 2 or 3 days, maybe like by end of this week, we are going to write some basic queries. Okay, that is what my major intention. I want you to write some basic queries, and then we are going to start our ETL testing concepts as well as the ETL concepts. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so today I don't want to discuss much. So tomorrow at least like if I can see some kind of a presentation from any one of you on database, that would be great. And don't think like where we are right now. Yeah, and this is what our curriculum. Let me share this. So for the first week, we are going to complete like all the Oracle basic concepts. So that's going to include like okay, I don't want to read all these things, but like you can have a look. Yesterday I sent this one, right? Did you get a chance to look into this?
Mm, no.
Okay. Anyway, if not like, so these are the concepts what we are going to discuss. Okay. Right now we are here, different types of databases. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to discuss ASCII and PL SQL basics and architecture. So these are like simple concepts. We are not going in depth, but we are trying to understand what are these terms and how they are going to, where they are going to use these terms and everything. Okay. So these are the things just I want to cover a little bit depth, but like the rest of things are pretty simple.
Okay.
Okay, so I won't say pretty simple, but like we are not going to focus much because no one is going to ask these things. Any questions till this point?
No.
Forget about other things, but till this point, 1 to
No
5.
question.
Okay, cool. So tomorrow we will see what is the ASCII, what is the code pages and PL SQL basics, and little bit of Oracle architecture.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe like I'm closing this today. If you have any questions, I can spend like 15 more minutes, or else we can close the session. And before closing the session, I just want to see your system, Harika. How did you download it? And Swapna, I believe like Swapna, you already downloaded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just I want to spend time on that one so that tomorrow you will be a little bit free on installation. Okay, Harika, can you share your screen? I'm making you as a presenter.
She is using my MacBook. I am working on her laptop. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I am connecting in her laptop.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I just want to see like whether the files got downloaded properly or not. So to whom I need to give that presenter request? Okay, fine.
My
I'm
laptop
making
is
you as a
taking
presenter,
time.
Ravi. Yeah, I face this issue. I mean, I don't know, some in Swapna's mission, she cannot present it. I don't know like how this is going to work to you, Harika. Harika, are you presenting?